Welcome to the Yong Pro Show. My name is David, and today with Matthew Britt, we're going to talk about how incredible it is to live in the most exponential period of all time right now in the 21st century. So Matt, why don't we start off by just talking a little bit about what is so good about living in the 21st century here right now, and what is different about being an entrepreneur now than being an entrepreneur, let's say, 50, 60 years ago?
Well, the major thing, Dave, is our landscape is changing. We are now in a place where the world is no longer, months to get around. Back in the day, if you had fortunate enough to get on a ship that was traveling around the world, it would take you months and months to make that trip. Now you can have something start here in Canada and be back to this same city in Canada, and you can do that in a day. Information now is now able to transport globally instantaneously, seconds, and I can send a message to a person in Australia in milliseconds, literally, right? So we've now collapsed the grand scheme of what it used to be like to do business on a global perspective, from taking months to now taking seconds in order for those things to happen, and that creates an incredible opportunity. When you're thinking about entrepreneurship, and especially when it comes to making money in business, it comes down to purely being able to sell something to someone. Traditionally, we operated out of a brick and mortar store, a location down on a street, and our clientele was able to come from, let's say, a 10-mile radius around that store. So we're limited to the number of people that are ever going to come into our store on a day-to-day basis, on a year-to-year basis. Now, because of the internet, we can open up a store online and instantaneously have access to billions of people who live all around the world, who will never step foot into our brick and mortar location, and we can now do business with those people without any trouble. So for opportunity perspective, we have now exponentially grown our potential for money making. That's why you now see companies such as Instagram with, I think they had 12 employees when they sold for a couple $1 billion to Facebook. Like
In less than a year,
right? $1 billion business in less than a year. Companies like Airbnb, who now are disrupting the hotel industry, an industry that many people would have thought this is never going to change. An industry that employs, I don't know, but I would guess millions of people around the globe with all the different major hotel chains, hotels, motels, all that kind of stuff. And you have this company that comes out of nowhere, started by a couple guys who had the bright idea of blowing up air mattresses in their living room, letting their friends sleep on them, and then charging them money, and then figuring, hey, if we're doing this, there must be someone else who would love to do this too, so maybe we can make a little simple platform to do it. Now they're a $10 billion company. From an idea, build it, put it on an app. Now they're worth tens of billions of dollars. The hotel industry is being disrupted and changed because of that simple concept. Entrepreneurs today have that at their fingertips. That makes us in the most exciting time ever, because you can build a business by yourself with a few $100s and potentially turn that into a multi-billion-dollar organization. And even if it's not a multi-billion-dollar organization, even if you can make it earn you 6 figures a year, you're earning more money than the average person from home, no staff.
Wow. It's an exciting time to be living right now.
It is.
So how should we, with all these things happening where the world is faster, it's becoming smaller, we can travel the world faster than ever before, we can communicate with people from the click of a button, which we couldn't do before, we could start a global business from our basement, from our home, without as nearly as much hard work as we used to have to put in because of the technology that we're experiencing right now. So from a perspective of a young entrepreneur, of somebody who is looking out into the world and seeing all of these massive opportunities, or at least wants to be aware of all these massive opportunities, how should I be looking at the world as a entrepreneur in the most exponential time to ever be alive?
With an open mind, an intense curiosity, a hunger and thirst for gathering up information and learning about different things that you may not have known existed before. You should definitely be paying attention to books, to videos that are available online, finding people who are doing big things and kind of follow suit. You should also be looking for problems. Wherever there's problems, that equals opportunity. There's some of the biggest problems facing our world today also equal some of the biggest opportunities facing our world today. We can go into things like water shortage. The person that figures out how to take salt water and make it into drinking water, it stands to make a fortune. The person who figures out how to get crops grown in places where crops are struggling being grown and that food is in shortage is going to make a lot of money and help a lot of people. There are problems when it comes to our atmosphere. There's a problem that comes to our environment. Anybody who can find solutions to those things stand to make a lot of money because they're solving a problem. So, being a young entrepreneur, I think it's your responsibility to be, one, learning and looking for problems, but two, to really have that open mind and willingness to take chances and to source out other people who are also looking to solve the things that you're looking to solve, right? Yeah.
Awesome, Matt. It's awesome. It's really, really interesting now because in a time where you no longer have to do it, you would always need people to do it, but this is a time where you can now have connections to other people around the world that are seeing these same problems that we're seeing and can come to a solution with you on these problems. Crowdsourcing all of this information, all of this knowledge that is everywhere on the internet with the click of a button. Mm-hmm. And if we can crowdsource this knowledge and crowdsource this information, we have the ability to create some absolutely amazing things and solve these problems that are existing today. Mm-hmm. Even in a world where there's negative propaganda everywhere, where there's negative media, we can look at that, look through the negativity and understand that those are problems that as an entrepreneur, we have the ability to solve. Mm-hmm. Now, you were talking about how we have to be always studying books, how we have to be learning from other people. Now, is it safe to say that, we might want to stray too much from learning from the people who have maybe been here 50 years ago, who wrote a book 50 years ago because of how much things have changed right now? Yeah,
you need to be looking for relevant content, finding people who are doing things now. You're going to want to, don't get me wrong, there's simple truths when it comes to success. Okay, they're called truths for a reason. There's laws that are universal. They take place no matter what. Great, you should understand those. But there's also stuff that is more relevant to today, and there's stuff that was relevant in the past. And if we are living in the today, and we should be forward thinking about our opportunities, we need to be finding relevant content and relevant information, right? You're not going to go necessarily pick up a book that talks about how to use MySpace as a business model to grow your business, because MySpace, unfortunately, went to the wayside when things like Facebook came about. And now Facebook's a dominating force. You'd want to go learn how to leverage a tool like Facebook over the tool like MySpace. Not that MySpace is bad or that Facebook is necessarily any better. It's just Facebook's the now, MySpace was the past, right? As an example. Or you may not be looking into how do I use a rotary phone because we just don't use those anymore. Now you want to look at how can I build a mobile technology that can be on a cellular phone that can be used by a person all over the world with a cellular satellite internet connection. Okay?
So learn the truths that are common throughout the past 50, 60 years, but pay attention to what is going on now.
Yes.
Because that's how you're going to take your business to the next level. Let's talk
just
about
your life to the next level,
Nice.
right? You got to be open-minded to how the advances in technology, the advances in thinking, the advances in medicine and health, food, everything is different. And you need to be up on that stuff in order to capitalize on opportunity that's here right now.
Okay. Let's talk about social media for a second. Because social media is something that is obviously taking the entire world, that has changed the way we communicate with people all over the world, and it's something that is changing so quickly.
Yeah.
You know, Facebook now, our parents and, you know, their parents are starting to get on Facebook, and it's starting to get a little bit outdated, and then new things like Snapchat are starting to come into play that are becoming a little bit more relevant, but it's happening in such a shorter period of time. So how should we, as young entrepreneurs or young leaders, or just even anybody, be looking at social media and how we could capitalize on the ever-changing environment that social media has?
Well, it's that's a very complex question. Because things are changing so fast, it's always hard to stay current. But there are ways to do it, and people do it. So it's obviously possible. I would say, subscribing to technology blogs, to technology newspapers, to technology channels on YouTube, following technology stuff on the other social media platforms, so you can stay up to date on that aspect. But also on top of that, get yourself, put yourself in a place where you can practice using the new technologies. So if Snapchat is now the thing, well, get yourself an account, get on it, start using it, suck at using it for a while, but learn how to use it, and you'll get better and better and better at being a part of that social media channel. And over time, you might end up being you're one of the first people who's fantastic at using Snapchat. There's always going to be new things that are coming along. There's certain ones that grab hold and run really well, certain ones that kind of get started and then they're there for a little bit and they fall off. What matters is that you get yourself in front of them, not behind those trends. Get in front of those trends by being, like I said, following the blogs, the technology blogs, maybe staying up to date on videos through YouTube or whatever it is, through Facebook. And then just try, when those new technologies do hit the marketplace, things like Periscope, for example, get on it, use it. Snapchat hits, get on it, use it. Whatever's next, get on it, use it. And invest time in learning how to use it and be effective with it.
It's really interesting. We have to stay connected and informed with everything that is going on, with technology being updated. And that's an interesting concept because people would argue that technology is actually disconnecting us from the entire world and disconnecting us from who you are. But you can look on the other side of things and see that technology is actually allowing you to stay more connected and more informed with what is happening in the world. What is your perspective on that?
Technology is definitely making some people extremely disconnected because they have chose to put their head down and keep it down in their cell phone all day long. Whereas a wise person, in my opinion, would put their head down and use technology to their advantage, allow them to meet people quicker. And in my opinion, I would take those people who I meet on technology and get face-to-face with them, or get on the phone with them, or get into chats with them, and eventually, if I'm ever in their city, meet face-to-face with them, or Skype with them, or whatever it is. Relationships, no matter what, are the foundation for success in business. Successful people build networks and learn how to work those networks and create opportunity for themselves and for the people who are inside of that network. So you can either choose to be glued into your phone, head down all the time, liking everybody else's stuff on Facebook, or watching waste of time videos, or it's so, nothing against Snapchat, but Snapchat's one of those things for me that it can be a massive time waster, because you literally, if someone's building a story and they've got their story up to 200 seconds long, that's 3 minutes plus that you're sitting there watching all of the stuff that person is doing instead of doing something yourself, right? Or you look at people who scroll through the news feeds on their Facebook all day long, and that's all they're doing is reading other people's bullshit. Instead of going and making stuff happen themselves, they waste their time reading everyone else's negativity and reading everyone else's bad news, bad stories, and it ends up that they're depressed because they have no real interaction with anybody every day, and all they're putting in their brain all day long is negative shit.
Yeah.
So no wonder some people have that opinion about social media, because that's what they're choosing to do.
So don't be a time waster and use technology for what it could do for you and for your relationships. You have the ability to create a larger network of people, of solid, strong relationships using Facebook, using these social media. The average person has 900 friends on Facebook. Those are people that you have the ability to reach out to, connect to, get face-to-face with, and build a relationship with. So utilize these social networks for yourself to build a stronger network and a stronger following for you and your career.
And here's the interesting thing. If you want to.
Yeah.
Right? If it's there if you want to. You have a choice. You can sit on Facebook all day long and read the news, read the negativity, or you can sit on it all day long and build networks, build relationships, get more connected, meet better people than yourself, seek out a person you want to meet. You can literally go search for anyone you want to meet today on social media, and over time, build a relationship with that person. Anybody you want. Or you can bitch about how bad it is.
So, I want to talk about, really about the abundance that we're going into as an entire planet. Because I think there's not a lot of talk about that. There's a lot of talk about where we're downfalling as a planet, where we're downfalling as a whole species, but less talk about the abundance of the life that we're potentially going into.
Yeah.
So, are there things that come to mind when you think of the abundance of the life that we're leading to on this planet?
Yeah, very much so. When I look at some of the major ones, for me anyways, we look at power. Obviously, power is extremely important and necessary for us to survive. We have now figured out using solar that we can have an abundance of free power. And, hats off to Elon Musk and what he's doing with Solar City and Tesla and his whole plan there.
We'll have him on the show soon.
Yeah, that's the goal. Elon Musk coming out to the show soon. But, a man like that has been able to solve a problem. That system right there can help reduce our demand and need for something like oil. Great. Oil is a finite. It's running out. The sun, that's not going away for a while. We got a lot of that left. So that's one. Food. If we all remember, plants regrow. I'm not sure if anybody remembers that anymore, but plants regrow. So if we are able to use the sun's power to power our machines and turn those machines over to run on our field where we're growing our foods, we now are able to take that farmer's job, make it significantly easier for him to grow us incredible, healthy foods. That now we know, because we're growing this stuff, we can have enough food to feed everybody on the planet. So those are just two things that come to my brain when you look at abundance. It's everywhere. We have opportunities like never before seen, and the abundance is definitely majorly on the horizon.
Okay, and a really good book to talk about that is a book called Bold. Who was it?
I would go even back to the one they wrote first, which is called Abundance.
Okay.
And it's Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. So they wrote Abundance first, which was all about what you're just talking to me about, and Bold is the second one. And both of those books are fantastic and highly recommended.
We'll probably do a book review shortly on those two books and, how they talk about what the power of the 21st century. Until then, guys, thanks for tuning in to this video right here. We really wanted to make this video to talk to you about the different perspective that you could have on the life that you're living today. You can look at this world as a disconnected world that is pitfalling down into a deep, dark hole, or you can look at this world as an abundant world that is more connected than ever before, and has more opportunity than ever before, and more potential than ever before. So Matt, closing things off here, is there anything else that you want to leave for the viewers who are thinking about, the young leaders out there that are thinking about making their dreams happen?
Yeah, well, the reality is we live in the time of greatest opportunity ever in history. It's easier for us to do literally everything. We have the potential is unbelievable. There are some major problems out there that need solving, and we can collaborate as a group of people who want to make a difference to solve those problems. So what I'll leave you with is, don't let it get away. The opportunities are in front of you right now. Be willing to take a little bit of a risk, get outside of your comfort zone, go after those things that you want, leave this world a better place than you found it. And, I want to see a whole bunch of new multimillionaires and billionaires that have made dramatic impact on the world arise from the Yong Pro Show and people that have been watching this. So grab a hold of the opportunities that are out there for you today, and let's go make a difference in the world.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and we will see you next time on the Yong Pro Show.